Okay, this is
Okay.
apropos to what I downloaded today, which was the theme for RESOC, which will be on April 25th, the whole day
Mm-hmm.
online, is
Mm-hmm.
finding safe passage into the new earth.
Oh my word. Okay. Well, that was the theme of the dream last
Yes,
night.
yes, 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 exactly.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's directly related to that. So RESOC will be on April 25th. It's actually April 27th, the full moon, which will be on a Tuesday. And but we are
Mhm.
celebrating it on the 25th, which is the Sunday. And the theme is finding safe passage into the new earth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a lot of disturbance. There's a lot of unease and tribulation that are out there. Now, additionally,
Mhm.
this week coming, I'm going to start putting online. I'm repeating the same three classes for ascendance, the same three different classes for ascendance that I'm doing with some of you right now. So if you have friends and
Mhm.
people that are interested in doing the first series will actually happen on Wednesday because the Wednesday class I'm going to be done with them. So that time slot is free. So the Wednesday at
Okay.
7 p.m. I will have that as being the first class and
Okay.
so on and so forth, and we'll move from there. I I'm still trying to get to a total of 36 individuals who will
Mhm.
volunteer to do this work. As you know, this is a numbers game. If you have, uh, let's say, originally in that class on Wednesday had 15 people. Now I'm left with 9. There is always
Mm.
people who will drop for life reasons, life circumstances. There will be people who will face the dweller on the threshold test, who will not be able to move forward. There will be all kinds of reasons as to why people cannot continue. It's not that they will not come back, but for now, there is a hole on the development, which is completely normal and natural. So
Yeah.
I have to cast a wider net to
Mm-hmm.
get to the point of having 36.
Okay.
Okay. And so this is why I'm going to continue the class and I'm going to allow for more people to come in so that we can actually be able to do this. So I will have hopefully by the first week of March 4 things online. It will be the WESAC celebration details, pending me finishing a whole bunch of stuff, including the program between now and then. But the other three
Mm-hmm.
things will be the ascendance and planetary leadership, which is the ascension mechanic of neutrality part one, then the part
Mm-hmm.
two, which will be the monadic merger, and then the part three, which will be the cultivation of the virtue. Okay, and I will have
Okay.
all of this line up online, and that way people and friends and acquaintances can begin. And I will start promoting all of the above. The class itself, the classes will end on March. It's coming soon. It's March. It's next month, March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Then we're gonna take a
Mm-hmm.
break, 2 weeks break, and then the three classes will begin April 5th, 6th, and 7th. Okay,
Okay.
there will be a break so that everyone
Mm-hmm.
can do other things instead of having every week at the same time something to do. You can do whatever else that you need to do. I need a break as well to do other things,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that
Of
way you can
course.
have time to regroup, and then we'll start anew. The second cycle, the third, or the first cycle, depending on where you are. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay.
All right. So what I wanted to do today is that I wanted to talk a little bit about um, the journey and the growth that needs to happen in order for us to be able to move forward and get to a point of achieving this passage. Because you know, the thing about it is that there is a lot of there's a lot of agitation and a lot of chaos in the regular world that could take us, that could distract us and take us into multiple other paths that are not the ascended tomorrow. I am remembering again, going back to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, that they keep talking about when you're going through the bardo, you cannot trust the path that feels seductively good. Neither can you trust the one that are generating fear. And the only thing that you can do is that you have to pray to the Buddha, because they're Buddhists. You have to pray to the Buddha or focus on the luminosity if you had a yoga practice or a spiritual practice, and let the spiritual practice tell you which is good for you and which is not good for you. The path to the new earth right now is hidden. It's not plainly visible. And therefore, whatever shows up for you, and it could be something that sounds absolutely perfect and absolutely ideal, it might be the wrong path. It might be something that's going to distract you and take you sideways and not take you to where you had intention on going. Because there's a lot of twilight masters, meaning people who are half light, half dark, and who are using language that is familiar to those of us who are light workers to kind of set up trap and derail and corral us in a different direction. And there's a lot of that going on. So it's a question of having an internal compass, a sense of discernment, and to really trust with complete obedience. And this obedience has to come from profound and personal experiences that relates directly to the cultivation of the virtue and us understanding exactly, surrendering to that inner knowing. It's the knowing that's not loud. It's the knowing that always shows up first. It's always the first impression. It's not the second one. And no matter how crazy or insane that first impression is, that's what you have to follow. And it will never stir you in the wrong direction. And so there is a whole, and the class really is devoted to exactly that, the exploration of what it is that we have to do in order for us to get into that state of surrender, to get to that state of obedience, to get into that state of acquiescence when we can say yes. I remember I'm doing a class for one of my students now in the third part of the ascension, the cultivation of the virtue. She has a lot of issues with obedience. When she gets to the obedience as a virtue to cultivate, there's a voice inside of her that says, why? And a lot of that comes when you have too much pride, when you think you know, when you think you know better, when everything is an analytical, didactic proposal that you can refute, argue, rationalize, find a better predicate for. All of that is mute and nonsensical when you are dealing with a path that has a lot of danger in it, meaning that as you're moving forward, you need to understand that the movement toward this blessed goal is actually perilous, meaning that there are dangers that are camouflaged as something else. But the key to it is to understand that all of the chaos, all of the trapping and the illusions that are being created, the way the Tibetan Book of the Dead described the illusions, they keep saying all the time, these illusions are nothing more than a projection from your own mind. They talk about the bardo process, which is the extended bardo if you're taking the Bardo of life now, it's the extended Bardo that we're going through right now, between now and whenever we cross into the higher dimensions. that Bardo process is, they talk about Bardo in general as having filled with vivid images and vivid illusions and a lot of sound, okay, that are gonna easily capture our attention in the 3D reality to cause us to believe in things that are in the essence of being not true, okay? And that's the key, is that there's a whole bunch of things that in the essence of being that are not true, that we are being forced to believe by the illusions and the entrapment that they are creating. And it's creating a tremendous amount of doubts. The certainty that may have existed, let's say a year ago, may not be there right now. There's a lot of, if you look at what's going on right now across the US with the polar vortex and what's happening in Texas, what's happening in the frost and the freeze that's happening all over the country, people are doubting a lot of things they thought were true, okay? All the way to the very edge of the sea in Texas, everything is frozen. So to think that this was possible a few years back is not, and it's not something that anyone would believe. Yet now the crisis, even though the freeze is more or less subsided, powers is kind of coming back on. Water is not available. There's all, you can read the news, you know what's going on. So the point I'm trying to make is that these experiences are testing the veracity and the foundation of everything we know to be true. And as they do this, they begin to shake the entire edifice of our own paradigm. Everything that we have created, everything that we believe to be, that we organize the world with, is going to be shaken. And as it's being shaken, the fear arises because for example, I know a whole bunch of coaches and healers who are in California fearing the big one and everything else, and also the expenses. California housing market is so hot and so expensive. They all moved to Austin, Texas. Now they are in the situation right now, and there's a lot of them that are having regrets and that are finding themselves in a worse situation than they were when they were in California. Again, people who have crossed state line and have traveled quite a distance because there's a large healing community in Austin, and thinking that they would be safe there and it would be an ideal environment. Again, as far as physical location is concerned, these people are trying to find a safe location. I'm going to state this, and I've stated this before, there's no safe places, only safe people. It's the frequency and the vibration and how you manage your relationship to the outside that will create a world that's safe or unsafe to you. The bombardment will continue to come. The challenges will continue to pile up. It is how you handle them. It is how you prepare for them. It is how you foresee yourself into that future that will give you the ability to weather it out, and more importantly, thrive and even find complete self-passage into the new earth. Now, one of the things that the Tibetan Book of the Dead talks about over and over again is that it talks about the fact by our own merit, when we are in the middle of these gigantic, what they call illusion, almost like a giant mirage, we will not be able by our own device to snap out of it without having some sort of guidance. The way, of course, if you think about the guidance, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is really called the Great Liberation Through Hearing. And what happens is that a monk, when somebody is in hospice care or is about to die, begin to say the book what the person is passing, and then continue to say them after they are dead for a total of 49 days. So even after they're passing, they go back to the room of the person every day to repeat the next passage, the next passage. So they're giving guidance to the soul who is in transit. So there is an outside, because the illusions are too entrapping. They're too powerful, they're too vivid, and they're too complex for you to do it on your own. There are a few souls who are capable of doing it, but they are the people who have done years and many lifetimes of incarnation, and the moment they go from life into death, the battle of life into death, they immediately become enlightened and they leave the wheel of samsara and they never have to reincarnate again. But it's very few people that are in that state. Okay, the vast majority of us are trapped with this vivid experience that trigger all kinds of feelings and emotions. Now, I don't want you to think that all the emotions are negative, because the Tibetan Book of the Dead talks about the fact that a lot of feelings and sensations you're going to have there are going to be very attractive and very feeling safe and feeling actually exuberant for you to go into. But a lot of time, those safe and attractive places, particularly when you go into the bardo of rebirth, they are actually traps. They are places that if you go into it, you're going to reincarnate as an animal, or you might end up in, even worse, into the hell realm, the realm of the demons. So they're just because something feels euphoric and feeling high and feeling, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is not also an illusion. So, and the only way that you can determine and separate what is good and what the proper direction is for you is for you to understand that the good and the bad that you're experiencing are there to teach you a lesson. They are your teacher. And if they are my teacher, whatever it is that I'm facing, instead of running from the fear, and I was sharing with you several classes back that last year, I spent 3 days where I was in such panic that I was ready to jump out of my skin. If the delivery man came to my door and knocked on the door, I jumped up. I was hiding inside, pretending I'm not there, thinking that somebody was going to come and get me. This is the kind of panic that I was in. Okay? I mean, really exaggerated. And these are a few things that I did. The first day, I didn't understand what was going on because I never experienced anything like this. I was so outside of, I was ready to jump out of my own skin. I just couldn't understand what was going on with me. When I realized that I was in panic and I was having all these negative reactions, what I did is that I did not run away from the feeling. There's a sense that when you're experiencing a negative emotion, you so-called negative in quotation emotion, you immediately want to have a good emotion. You want to change the beat and make it something else. What I'm saying is that in this instance, I said to myself, I'm not changing anything. This experience is a teacher. And more to the point, no matter how I'm feeling right now, no matter how much I feel scared and afraid that some major disaster imminently is coming, this is the general feeling. The panic was not directed from one experience. It was a general panic that made me feel that everything bad was possibly going to happen to me. Something bad was coming, right? And the moment, what I did is that I then isolated myself and I said, okay, I am feeling this very strongly right now, but that feeling is not my identity. And the moment I did this, I disconnected to it. I separated myself from it. This is a momentary thing that I'm feeling right now. This is a moment in time. My identity as Pierre is something else, and I'm going to separate the two. Okay? And I'm going to observe what I'm feeling as opposed to me becoming the feeling. And that was the first step of me beginning to detach from it. The second step is for me, as I detached and became separated from it, it was for me to begin to say to myself, okay, is this now coming from me? In other words, I'm not going to say I am panicked. I'm not going to claim this. All I'm going to say is that, is this from some weakness in my spiritual psychology? Is this coming from me? Something subconsciously buried in my subconscious mind that's surfacing? Or is this coming from an outside source? And the moment I did this, I got, yes, it's an outside source. Okay? What percentage of this is mine? 20% is yours, the rest is not. So through a weakness in my spiritual psychology, my own paranoia, the way I grew up in the Caribbean, fearing everything, that paranoia is there. I was empathing what the world was feeling. It was around the time that Biden had won, and there was this imminent threat as to what was going to happen to this country. And I was picking up all of that anxiety and all that panic and fear. And the moment I realized it wasn't mine, I'm like, I don't have to feel it. Why am I reacting in such a... So this is what I'm trying to give you a mechanic through which you can learn something. And more importantly, the weakness in my spiritual psychology, which is my own paranoia and my own fear that are related to the way I grew up in a culture where you were afraid of everything that was around you. There was always the boogeyman or some dark entity that was going to come to hurt you. I had to figure out a way to extract those programs and send them into source and release them. Because even if I'm able to overcome this temporary thing, if that remains into me, it will always be a back door through which more other program can enter, more other empathic experiences can enter. So I ask for source to extract all these things from me so that I don't experience this anymore. Okay? And I know that's still not complete. It's a work in progress. There's still plenty inside of me that generating panic and making me be fearful. Again, because we're moving through quicksand. Everything that was solid is now soft, and we have to have agility and be light-footed to be able to move through this passage into the new earth. And I mean by that, in some instances, maybe even physically, because there are people who are living in zones where there's actual physical turbulence, and if there's a hurricane coming or whatever, where you have to be light-footed and you have to be able to move very quickly. Or for that matter, I had clients in California during the wildfires last year that had to flee. One client had to flee about 3 times because of, again, the fires got so close that she had to get out of her house, just throw everything in the car and just drive in the other direction. So there's enough going on out there to cause us to have unease, to cause us to have not to sleep well, to cause us to have all kinds of unusual experiences that are causing a little bit of angst and kind of like agitation, in the background of our psyche. So, but remember the key number one: the experience that you're having is not your identity. And if you can understand this and process this, you will begin to detach from the feeling. So the feeling that I'm having at the moment, although it's encompassing me and I'm inside this bubble, it's not my identity. I am something else, and I'm going to extract my identity out of it because I have had other kind of emotional experiences that were not this. This is a moment in time, and I have to separate myself from that moment in time. Right? And if you can do this, it will create a different thing for you. So I hope this part is clear. And in terms of you finding that path and knowing what's the right decision for you, particularly when housing situation are so turbulent, there is food insecurity, there's job insecurity, there is insecurity in general. Okay, how do we know where to go or when to go? How do we sense? How do we perceive? I have taught all of you the process that I call the morphogenic listening, which is when you allow your head to drop in the middle of your chest and to create a heart and mind coherence. And that process will allow you to feel everything around you and to perceive with your consciousness rather than perceive with your mind, with your eyes. Okay? The key is to perceive you with your entire consciousness and heart. And the moment you're in that space, you will know the truth. Because that part of you, when you go into that space, it allows you to, what's the word? You're now perceiving with your heart, and energy doesn't lie. So what you need to do, when you need to do it, and your answer is not somebody else's answer. What's true for you may not be true for someone else. You will know when to do and what to do. And you need to allow for this coherence to happen, and it will calm you down. It will allow you to be in a state of rest, and you will know, okay, now I need to do this. I need not to do this. I need to go this way. I need to move there. And when that occurs, it will give you clarity. Now, the clarity it gives, it's very hard to describe. You don't have to be in that meditation, because once you sink in, it lasts sometimes for several hours. And there's a kind of emerging awareness that you end up having, meaning there are sensations, there are other things that comes in, not as a sight, like for example, a vision that opens up in your mind, but as a knowing that this is right. It's a faint whisper. The loud voice is usually the mistake. The Bordeaux describes multiple experiences where you see beings that are as big as the sky. You see all this cacophony, the sounds, and the loud thing is not the guiding voice. You need to listen to something that's emerging, that's almost happening, that you're sensing with your heart. It has nothing to do with your third eye, what people are seeing with their third eye. It has more to do with feeling, with sensing, with knowing, and allowing something beyond what you already know to show up for you. What I call the emerging awareness. And it's that emergence that you need. And it's that emergence that's going to be the guide. And the guide will be literally like a life rope that you will have to pull yourself one arm length at a time, until you pull yourself out into the passage safely of the new earth. One by one, by one, by one. And if anybody tells you that they know exactly what's going to happen, I have general idea, because I've been channeling this for over 6 years. I have general ideas of things or major landmarks that are going to happen, but I am a human being living on earth right now, and my emotional body is also compromised by all these forces that are agitating me. And therefore, I cannot have complete clarity. I may know a little bit more than others, but I cannot have complete clarity. There are moments where I'm very clear and I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. There are other moments where a wave of whatever feelings that I'm empathing, again, because all my back doors are not closed, come in. And the next thing you know, I'm derailed, I'm feeling something else, I'm sensing something else, and I'm not in the right space. So what I'm saying and what I'm suggesting here is that there's a lot of work that needs to be done with this kind of morphogenic listening, allowing ourselves to surrender to our heart. And then from the heart, we then connect to a vast and endless continuum, a field that is making us know and understand that we belong to this collective of light, this continuum where we become just one starling in a flock of several billion, if not, an infinite number of beings that are all moving in this collective awareness and pattern that is so sophisticated and so all-encompassing that it brings blessings and goodness to everyone. And if you are in that flow, in that continuum, you will never be harmed. And that's the sweet spot, is to get ourselves into a place of that surrender, to get ourselves into a place of that obedience, and to get ourselves into a place where we can allow ourselves to let this blessing poured upon us and allow Spirit to give us the guidance to. Because through that surrender, through that heart and mind coherence, God will speak to you. The higher beings, your connection to your God concept will become stronger, particularly when you listen more and more to the intuitive insights and the instincts and the notions that this will give to you. You will sense things. You will begin to perceive things in your body. You will feel things all around you. And as they get created, you will be more and more aligned and in sync to what not only navigate the feelings and the emotions, but you will also have deep insight, profound clarity, and you will be find the luminosity, find the light, and find a way out of this forest of error and move into the higher density. Moreover, that emerging awareness, because if we're going into a higher dimension, that higher dimension is not does not exist in 3D. So if you're using mental acronym and you're trying to use your deductive capacity, your analytical capacity, your ability to tactically plan and do this, that, or the other, it's not going to work, because that new earth does not exist in that frequency. It exists, it's an emerging thing that's going to expand our emotion into something else. So it's the connection to that expansion that we need to focus on. And if you can allow yourself to move into a space of that awareness, and you can create a relationship to, let's say, you on a daily basis doing, and we're going to do that in a meditation in a moment, but the morphogenic awareness and the morphogenic listening, and literally, I have said this in all my training now, the morphogenic listening, the heart and mind coherence, is the foundation of everything that I'm teaching. If you need to master one exercise, that's the one. And if you can get this and you master it, you can you buy your own and you walk away from my teaching. If you can master that one thing, by having that one thing mastered, you can by yourself discover everything that I'm teaching. Truth is truth no matter where you go. It is through that awareness and through that connection that I was able to download, deduct, and intuit everything that I'm teaching you right now. And since I want to create equals, I'm trying to teach you how to do this on your own so that you can begin now to not only exist in that space, because God knows there's enough chaos and turbulence out there. Because everything, again, today it seems like everything is okay. The next minute, there's a feelings, an impression, something, a news or something. All of a sudden, the emotional dynamic shifts for you and you're somewhere else. And if you're not careful and you don't have a strong spiritual practice to keep maintaining yourself in alignment, it's very easy for you like this to go. It's like a roller coaster ride. You're going up and down, you're being swirled around and spinning a little bit, and all this turbulence is taking you and you don't know where you're going. Like dust in the wind, you're being thrown to and fro. Whereas if you have a practice, if you are in that emerging awareness and you're doing that morphogenic listening, or sometimes I call it also the heart and mind coherence, you're going to be in a different place because you're going to know energetically what you should be doing. And a lot of it related to the morphogenic awareness, because what you're doing is that you're listening to everything. You're listening as if every cell in your body had ears. You're listening to everything that's around you. You're trying to find there's something that's emerging. There's a goodness and a benevolence that's wrapped around you that's trying to guide you. You're trying to listen to it. It's as if somebody's in a car is trying to talk to you and going very fast, and you're trying to listen to what they are trying to yell out of the car. And as you do this and you pay attention to the details, suddenly it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're able to deduce very quickly what spirit is trying to guide you into. Any questions, any comments? So as this is going on, if you're doing this morphogenic awareness, again, the morphogenic listening is literally a practice that I do for 10 minutes a day. It's no more than that. And if you're doing this, added to it will be, as you're listening, will be you now becoming aware of something you were not aware of before. And therefore, and since you're in coherence with your heart, you're going to know, okay, should I do this or not do this? The energy will talk back to you and you will know exactly what you're supposed to do. So there's going to be not only you're going to pick up things, but you're going to also be in dialogue, in conversation with that emerging awareness. It's not just information being given to you and you blindly follow, but you're going to be in conversation. Now, here's the issue that I've encountered with some students. So they do the morphogenic awareness and they get an awareness of what they are supposed to do. Okay? This is today. Let's say they do it in the morning. In the evening, they do it again and they ask the same question. If God had told you something to do in the morning, why are you asking God again, should I be doing this again? If you're doing this, you're going to get the opposite answer. You're going to get something else. And at this point, the trickster archetype will come in and will begin to try to trick you. If you are in complete coherence and you're aligned and you get an answer, that's the answer. Stop doubting it by asking the same question over and over and over again. And this, I have seen several students make catastrophic mistake because they don't trust themselves. They don't even trust the voice that when spirit comes in and tells them something, they don't even trust it. Because they go back and ask again, a few hours later, the next day, and they keep asking. And every time they get the wrong answer, and they're like, I'm confused, I don't know what to do. The first answer, the first thing that pops, that shows up for you, is the right answer. But when you go back and you keep saying or you keep repeating it over and over again, it's gonna go, it's, as I said, the trickster or the dweller on the threshold will come in and will tell you something else and will create all kinds of story, will tell you all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're gonna derail yourself because you have your own self-doubt and you don't trust the voice of God. And the issue for these students is that they don't trust their own inner knowing. They don't trust, because when God tells me something and I'm in that state of surrender, whatever I'm being told, it's the truth. And I know this through and through my core, and that's the path I'm moving. And therefore, if I get an insight for somebody or for me, or something is going on, I trust that first insight and I repeat it verbatim. This is what I'm picking up, blah, 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 blah. And then that's it. And I'm done. And then they can decide what it is that they want to do. It's up to them. And I can tell you that every time I do this, when I trust the first instinct and I say these things, as crazy as they sound, they are always home run. They are dead on. They're always home run. These are people that I don't know their business. I don't know anything. They ask me to pray for them or do a healing, blah, blah, blah. And whatever I perceive, I just say it. They are always in shock. I can give you an example. I remember one time doing a healing for somebody that was all the way in Japan. And I don't know the person, never met her. I just have a name. I have an intermediary that's tell me, do this for this friend, this family member of mine, blah, 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 you have permission. Okay, I'm gonna do it at such a time, blah, blah, blah. And when I did the healing, what I saw was a beautiful brown golden horse on this vast field that was so stunning and so beautiful. And there was such it was a beautiful scene. It felt so peaceful and so serene. And this is somebody I've never met. I don't know the person from Adam. And so when the healing was done, I text the contact, because I don't even have contact directly with that person. I text the contact and I said, this is what I saw. This is what I perceived. She said, okay, I'm going to tell her it's not the right time in Japan now. They're sleeping. I will tell her, and then I'll tell you, I'll let you know what happened. The next day, the contact called me back and said, Pierre, that woman is in such shock because it turns out that she grew up in a farm around horses. And that day when I was connecting to her, she was so melancholic and so depressed and so sad that she was thinking about the horses that she grew up with. And she was in such a melancholic state, and there was no way. She said this to no one, and no one could have known what she was, that she was in that state. Again, I didn't know anything about her, but I learned to trust what I'm picking up. Any question, any comment? So when you have these experiences, they imbue you with such deep insight that you need to, because if I had doubted, I'm like, why am I seeing a horse? Why is this horse here? Why am and you poo-poo it and you think something else, and then because you don't pay attention to it and you don't allow it to focus, some other image shows in, and the second or third thing are not correct. And the insight and the perceptions that come in first are always correct. Particularly for the path toward the new earth, you're not going to get a complete GPS map or Google map that tells you turn left, do this, blah, 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 blah. You're going to get a general direction. Go northeast, general direction. And when you get in that general direction and you're supposed to turn right, you're going to get a sensation or perception, turn right, do this. This is the way. What's the best way to describe this? This feel doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. And listen carefully to what I'm saying. When you connect and you're listening this way, the feel does not give you what you want. It gives you what you need. So as this is evolving and growing for you, you're going to get awareness, you're going to get things showing up for you, and you're going to know things, but it will be always not what you want. Because, every one of us want to, have the perfect house, the perfect this, that, etc. It's not what this feeling will provide you. It will provide you exactly what you need. And if you can surrender into that need and you keep going in that path, you will find your safe passage into the new earth. You will find your way out of any maze. You will find your way out anywhere by trusting into that need. Any questions, any comments? So in this class, things are going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do, because I want you all to go into that state of surrender and that morphogenic awareness that I was talking about. I'm going to do a much longer meditation to allow that to happen. And we're probably going to have a little bit of time at the back end of this, maybe 10 minutes, to have more of a discussion and a conversation about the perceptions that happen to you during the meditation, okay? So why don't we take a 5-minute break now? It's an early break. Usually I would speak for another 15 to 20 minutes before we take a break. But since the meditation is going to be longer, why don't we take a break now, go get water, go to the bathroom, because you're going to have to remain still for a good 45 minutes. Okay? Take a break now.
Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your entire awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Allow your mind and your heart to sync with each other. And let your entire awareness and the seat of your soul to be generated and emanate from your heart. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And realize that you can perceive with your entire consciousness and halt. (360°). Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And notice what you noticed. What sensations, perceptions, feelings, and knowing. Or emerging all around you. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Without any judgments, barriers, or filters. Become aware of the morphogenic collective awareness that exists in the blessed field. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. and let the flow, energetic nuance, movement the waves and the breezes of this morphogenic collective awareness to guide you. Surrender your entire consciousness let go and listen with your heart and your soul. And let your entire being ride on the flow on the harmony on the ease and on the benevolence. Keep breathing deeply and slowly as you continue to surrender to this ecstatic experience and healing. Help me find passage, safe passage into the new earth. listened. Listen with your entire heart and soul, as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body were pulsating and vibrating and feeling like your heart. Help me find safe passage into the new earth. Show me the subtle voice, the subtle knowing, and the subtle guidance that will lead me into the new earth. Demonstrate to me the path that I need to follow. Let the entire collective awareness of infinity times infinity. Bring me the healing the repair that I need. On the dangerous and perilous path of the Bardo, and transition into the new earth. Lord, give me safe passage. Help me awaken to the truth that all external experiences seductions, passions, pain, suffering, and fears all unconscious projections attempting to teach me mastery. The outside is rooted and generated by me. Give me the discernment of that realization and the courage to let go of all desires to control and manage what is in fact illusion. For in that knowing lies true mastery. Illusions cannot hurt me. For I am an unconscious manifestation of infinity times infinity. Emptiness cannot hurt infinity. Guide me into the understanding that if I awake from my unconscious slumber. I will discover the true essence of being. My true identity. In the endless, and eternal continuum of light. The external events of this transitions are loud, agitating, and fearsome. They are my greatest teacher. Acknowledging and knowing that they are illusions and emptiness. Will take me into the realm of the Buddhas. and the apparent pain and suffering will evaporate into nothingness. All I need to do is to accept the luminosity that lies beyond. The emerging awareness. That is touching the edges of my consciousness. Lord, without you, I cannot make this journey. For my unconscious tendencies are too invested into the Maya and illusions of this world. Show me how to find detachment, balance, equanimity, and neutrality. Help me awaken from this great illusion. May I become a grounding rod to demonstrate to the world your light, effortlessness, and liberation. May the peace, serenity, and love that I know pass on to everyone in my circle of influence. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. How are you all feeling?
Pretty good. Good. It's very interesting because throughout I was feeling, I had different sensations, and then I, feelings of hot, cold, not cold, but hot, very hot. And then my head was beginning to from one side of it to the other, just heating up, and then at some points I was seeing some images of orange fruit, and it was and lights and things like that. But it was good. It was very good. I really liked it. To just let everything go into that field. It was just very, very good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I was in different places, but I felt that in my pineal gland area, a sensation, I could just feel it. There was a sensation there. And it was very pronounced for a little while. And then I saw a lot of, I guess it's natural elements, because I saw familiar elements like the water, but it was acting in very unusual, not like the usual patterns of water, but it was water. And so it was the, the known, but acting kind of like in an unknown way. And then I saw space, just out in kind of space, just spacey area, in space. And it was, which was kind of, I guess, unknown, but it had patterns, swirling patterns, unusual swirling patterns, kind of. And then some were kind of a rotating circular. And then me, in terms of part of it, there, I was feeling that it's not that I was resisting, but it was like I was in, maybe it was a little resistant or hesitancy because of the unknown. And then it seems like I wanted to take a nap. Y'all laughing at me. No, I can feel that.
Okay.
And I guess those, seems like there was something else that I'm forgetting now, but if I think of it, I'll come back.
Okay. The water thing, you live by the water. So you should examine this, because this year is going to be a year of water events. Okay?
Oh.
This year is going to be precipitation and water events.
The who here?
Precipitation and water.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
Because a little part of the dream I mentioned earlier, it was like the water was just coming out in these swirling, straight up, tall, just swirling, and it just dropped down over the house.
You should examine that, okay? Pay attention to it, follow it, see what your intuition is trying to tell you, okay?
Okay.
Margie, you want to say something?
No, I don't really have a lot to say.
Okay.
What I perceived was they were like, it was like a road, not even a road, multiple roads, and different paysage, okay, and there were people walking, not people, I will see one person like passing by like a flash in the road. Like there was a lady with a hat on, and she had a yellow shirt and a blue skirt on, and she was like, the people was walking their way, like they were just walking by. They were in their way, but it was like a lot of roads, a lot of
those are the parallel realities, the various paths that people have to follow.
yeah, that's what I was perceiving. And after that, there was quite a few energies of colors and light. And Esther,
yeah,
I took that nap for you.
You gotta share that nap, Marge.
After that, I took that nap, and I got up almost at the end.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah.
So the point of this exercise was to demonstrate to you that if you go into that emerging, that morphogenic awareness, you have access to a whole bunch of different information. And this is the key to everything. If you keep going back to that place, to the heart place, and let your heart guide you, you will, any question you ask, the real answer will show up for you.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to discover where you're supposed to go, when you're supposed to go. Okay?
mm.
All right. I'm looking at the time. This is the end of the class. Thank you very much, everyone. And we'll have a blessed week, and we'll talk next weekend.
Great.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
Pierre.
much. It was such a beautiful class.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, it was. Thank
All
you.
the explanation on the borders, the
Mhm.
correlation of them, and the border here, and it was so clear, and the understanding that I got of it was so. It was very good. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Blessings, everyone. Good
All
night.
right. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.
Okay, good night, all. Good night.
Good night, Marjorie.
Good night, my love.